Good morning, everyone. This is Kusumani Harika, Assistant Professor in Physics, working in the Department of Freshman Engineering at St. Martin's Engineering College. Today, I'd like to give you a lecture on the topic Introduction to Lasers. So, before I start speaking on this topic, for any subject matter which we are studying, we should try to pose 4 questions for ourselves. Let us see what are those 4 questions and how to find out answers for those questions. So we shall proceed with the lecture today. So the 4 questions are, first one is who? Then the second question comes what? Then comes the third question, namely how? And lastly, the fourth question is why? Now let me tell you what are these 4 questions and why do we need to pose these 4 questions on any topic. First question is who? For any topic that we are discussing, it is important for us to know the discovery, that is, reason behind the invention of a particular topic. Okay, the second question is what? Nothing but whatever topic that we are going to study, we should know what about it is. And the third one is how. That particular topic is discussing what. And the last question, but not the least, is why. Many times this question arises in our mind when we are studying a particular topic. That is, why do we need to study this topic? In what way it will be useful to me or my future? Or in what way it will be helpful to the society? So these are the 4 questions that will make our study much easier. So let us proceed our lecture by answering to all these 4 questions in a sequential manner. So in my lecture, you will be seeing all these topics of firstly, discovery of laser, where we will be studying who. That is, we are writing an answer to the question, namely, who is the discovery behind laser. Next, what is laser? By this, what we are trying to answer? We are trying to answer the question, namely, what? What is laser? Then coming to working of laser and types of lasers. Through these 2 topics, what question we are trying to answer? How? That is our third question. And lastly, applications of laser. So through this applications of laser, what question we are trying to find out? That is why. Why do we need to study about these lasers? So we shall proceed with first topic, namely discovery of laser. Yes, so here we can see the greater personalities' names behind the invention of laser. Firstly, in the year 1917, Sir Albert Einstein, which everyone is familiar about, has discovered not the laser device, instead the phenomena behind the discovery of laser, which is stimulated emission. Slowly, while answering to the question, namely what is laser, we will get to understand what is the stimulated emission. So firstly, we are trying to find out who is the invention or who is the discoverer of laser. So in 1917, Sir Albert Einstein has discovered the phenomenon behind the laser. So what is the process behind which the laser is working? That is nothing but stimulated emission. Then later on in 1960, the first laser device was being invented and the scientist's name is Theodor Maiman. So Theodor Maiman is the first person to discover the first laser device. So I'll just have a quick recap now. In 1917, Albert Einstein has discovered only the phenomena behind the working of laser, whereas in the year 1960, Theodor Maiman have discovered the first laser device, and that device is nothing but ruby laser. In between, you can see here, in the year 1950, scientists namely Charles Townes, Nikolai Basov, Alexander Prokhorov have discovered a first device called as maser. So from this, I think you would be able to clearly distinguish before the invention of laser, there was an invention of the device, namely maser. So maser, what does this maser stands for? Let us have a quick guess on this topic. Usually M stands for microwave. Nothing but microwave amplification by stimulated emission of radiation. Whereas the laser which we are discussing right now, Ruby laser or laser, it stands for light amplification by stimulated emission of radiation. One letter is different, your M and L. M stands for microwave, whereas L stands for light. So we have answered the question called who. Who is the discoverer of laser? So shall we have a quick recap on this? The first question called why is being answered now. In 1917, Sir Albert Einstein have discovered the phenomena called as stimulated emission, which is responsible for any laser. Later on, in 1950, the first device called maser was being invented by Charles Townes. Later on in 1960, this scientist, namely Theodor Neumann, discovered the first laser, namely Ruby laser. Now, we shall proceed with the second question, namely, what is laser? Yes, many of us who do not have technical knowledge on these lasers thinks of that laser is just a device that is found in many industries or many medical applications. But for the fact, laser is not just a word. Instead, it is an acronym. Let us see what is the full form of laser now. In laser, each letter is having its own applications, like L stands for light, A stands for amplification, S stands for stimulated, E stands for emission, and R stands for radiation. We'll combine all these terms and learn nothing but laser stands for light amplification by stimulated emission of radiation. I'm repeating, this is very much important acronym that each and every one of us must know. That is light amplification by stimulated emission of radiation. So we know now what is the full form of laser. Let us see now in which way this laser is different from normal LED lights which we use in our day-to-day life. So what are the unique characteristics that makes the laser light to be different from that a normal ordinary light? Ordinary light LED, if you imagine or if you see, you can see that the light is spreading in all directions. Whereas laser, whatever we are studying now, is having five unique characteristics. So these are the 5 unique characteristics of lasers. One by one, we'll slowly try to understand each and every property. So the first property is monochromaticity, high directionality, intensity, power, less divergence and coherence. Let us try to understand each topic or each property of laser in detail. So I was telling the first sorry. So we are discussing I'm sorry. The properties of laser. Now, in that, we are discussing monochromaticity. As the name itself is indicating, mono means, we all know, single. Now, question comes with this part called what is chromaticity? Chromaticity means single wavelength. So monochromaticity means single wavelength. Actually, the chromaticity implies this wavelength. So monochromaticity implies Single wavelength. What is the single wavelength? In order to understand the concept of wavelength, I think we all know what happens when we are incidenting a white light onto a prism. What will happen when white light is incident on a prism? It will be splitting into its 7 constituent colors, namely VIBGYOR. Nothing but violet, indigo, blue, green, yellow, orange and red. All these 7 colors have different wavelengths. So, from here you can see that laser is emitting only one kind of wavelength. We may be astonished, what is this only emission of one wavelength? Because in today's market, we are having different colored lasers being available, maybe red colored laser, blue colored laser, etc. But what is the meaning of the single wavelength here is that whatever laser device we take, for example, if we take a blue laser, it will emit only blue light. If we take red laser, it can emit only red light. So that is the meaning of monochromaticity, where the laser device is emitting a single wavelength. Now, let us go for the second property. So what is the second property of laser? It is high directionality. We all know what is the meaning of high directionality. It is in simple words itself. The normal LED light which we are using nowadays for day-to-day applications, they are spreading in all directions. Whereas the laser light, whatever we are studying right now, it is having high directionality, implies it is traveling in the straight line. Whereas the ordinary light, whatever we are taking, that is spreading in multiple directions. The laser is traveling in straight path and it is focusing at one particular point completely. Now, what is the third property? Monochromaticity, directionality we have discussed. Let us see now interesting topic called high intensity. In order to understand this property, let me give you a few examples. So, every one of us know in our home, we use a 100-watt bulb or a 60-watt bulb, right? So, let us take such 60-watt bulb. And now, if we are observing the 60-watt bulb through our naked eye at some considerable distance, is it going to create any harm to our eyes? No, right? Why? Why it is not creating any harm to our eyes? The main reason is that the light, whatever we are getting out of this 60 watts bulb is multi-directional. It is spreading in multiple directions and it is not focused. It is not focused at any one particular point such that it is not harming the eye at any instance. Whereas, now we take just a 1 milliwatt laser, 1 milliwatt powered laser. Now 1 milliwatt powered laser if we are taking and if we are trying to observe through our naked eye directly, then definitely it is going to harm our eye. How? The power is here only 1 milliwatts, whereas the power is here 60 watts. When 60 watts is unable to damage the eye, how come 1 milliwatt laser can create damage to the eye? The point lies in the fact that the laser is highly focused. Due to this property of high focus and high directionality, and also intensity is higher. So when the intensity is high, when we are seeing through the laser light through our naked eye, it can damage our eye. Now let us see the next property. After high intensity, we will have less divergence. What is the meaning of less divergence is that, as I have already said you regarding normal light is spreading like this, right? Whereas the laser light, it is going in a straight path like this. So this is our laser and this is our ordinary light. From here we can understand the meaning of divergence. Divergence means spreading of light. How the light is spreading. The normal light is spreading in a much angle, at a greater angle, whereas the laser, it is going in a straight path, meaning that the divergence is very less. And finally, we will see the last important property, namely coherence. So in order to understand the concept of coherence, we all must have a knowledge on waves. We know these are the waves. Light travels in the form of waves. Even the sound will travel in the form of waves. So when we take such two light waves emitted, since we are discussing laser, we will focus on the light waves. When we are taking such two light waves, if the crests are falling on crests or if troughs are falling on troughs, nothing but two waves are existing in same phase, then we say that the light emitted by laser is coherent in nature. Coherence property indicates that the two light waves which are emitted are in same phase. So this is all about the properties of laser. So let us have a quick recap from the beginning. First we have discussed the properties, namely monochromaticity. Then we have discussed high directionality. Then about high intensity, less divergence and coherence. Now let us be back onto the concept called as how the laser will work. So these are all the properties of lasers. Now let us switch on to our PPT in order to know how a laser will work. So these are the properties just now we have gone through. Now let us see difference between normal light and laser. Whatever I uttered now, you can visualize it. See, the normal white light is having different components and it is traveling at different distances, whereas the laser, it's a red colored laser where you can take, it is traveling with high directionality. So here, two concepts, namely the directionality, coherence and monochromaticity also can be visualized through this animation. Now let us go for the working of laser. Now we'll have a recap. So what are the four questions we have said? Who, what, how and why. Now out of these four questions we have done with two questions. Who, that is discovery of laser, is done. What is the laser full form and what are the 5 unique properties of lasers are also done. Let us switch on to the phenomena of laser. So the phenomena of laser is stimulated emission, as we have seen. The full form of laser is light amplification by stimulated emission of radiation. Right? Now we will see what is the stimulated emission. Before this, you also have to have an idea about these concepts of population inversion, pumping source, existence of metastable state and optical resonator. Nothing but all these four comes under the conditions for the laser light to be emitted. Conditions for laser light to be emitted are all these four. Okay. Today we will, since it is the basic concept related to introduction to lasers, we will see first of all what is the meaning of stimulated emission. So let us go on for the phenomena of stimulated emission. So generally, if you have to understand this phenomena of stimulated emission, it is important for us to know all these topics of absorption, spontaneous emission, and then we can understand stimulated emission. So in order to understand these concepts, I think every one of you know the terminology of energy levels, right? So we know that any substance that we are taking is containing atoms, right? And these atoms are containing what? Atoms will contain nucleus and electrons. So whatever the atom we are taking, inside we will have a nucleus and then we will have electrons which are rotating about these nucleus, and these are nothing but energy levels. If we know this concept of energy levels, then only we can understand these remaining concepts of absorption, spontaneous emission and stimulated emission. So quickly we will switch on to our concept called absorption. Yes, the absorption is nothing but it is called as stimulated absorption. For stimulated absorption to take place, we can clearly observe if we are taking some two energy levels as E1, E2, then when we are incidenting some light, the electrons or the atoms which are existing in the ground state will absorb these energy and will go to higher states. This process is nothing but stimulated absorption, nothing but we are supplying external energy, atoms which are earlier in ground state, they are now going to excited states. Done. Now coming on to spontaneous emission. Generally, all the atoms which are going on to the higher energy level, they can stay there only for a lesser amount of time called 10 power minus 8 seconds. That is nothing but the emission time. So once this amount of time of 10 power minus 8 seconds is completed, all the atoms will jump to their ground state and they will not jump directly. That is, it's a random process and they will emit whatever initially absorbed energy was there, that will be emitted back. Whatever it has taken earlier for the absorption process, the same thing is now being returned here. So this is the concept of stimulated absorption from low to high, spontaneous emission which is random from high to low. Sure, now we'll step on to the stimulated emission. This is the real concept necessary for laser. Let us see now what is this. When a light is being absorbed, and here it is different from absorption. Whatever the atoms are there now in the excited state, they are going to absorb light. Okay. Instead of lower atoms, now higher atoms, nothing but excited atoms are absorbing this instant optical energy and they are coming back to the lower state and they are emitting 2 photons. Nothing but when they are taking one, they are giving 2. Amplification is taking place in this process. Just visualize this process of stimulated emission. See, these are the two energy levels. This is absorption. Okay, atoms going from low to high. Now, higher to low, it is emission. So, this is what the phenomenon of stimulated absorption and emission. So, as I have said you, just visualize these. These is the nucleus, energy levels. Firstly, electrons going from low to high is absorption. Coming from high to low will be emission. Generally, any laser, even a small laser device that we take, it will have these all components. Just visualize this. We are having active medium. So, this is the active medium. This medium itself is responsible for stimulated emission. And then we are having this cavity where the light will be amplified. Then this is the pumping source. Why do we need this pumping source? We will have this pumping source to give external energy. As we have discussed earlier, stimulated means always the external energy should be supplied. May it be absorption, may it be emission. If it is absorption, the light will be absorbed by lower energy level atoms. If it is emission, the light will be absorbed by higher energy level atoms. Now, once these pumping source active medium are done, you can see this, these are the two mirrors. Why these mirrors? For nothing but amplification to be achieved, we want these mirrors and you will get a laser output from this partially reflecting mirror. These are generally types of different lasers like solids, dye, gas and semiconductor type of lasers. Based on type of active medium, I have prepared this classification. If it is solid, we will have ruby and Nd:YAG. If it is dye lasers are completely different and they are used only for such purposes as of now. Gas lasers, CO2, helium neon, argon ion, and then semiconductor lasers. Sorry. Now, we have answered by now 3 questions. Who, what and how. Let us come to a final question called why. Why do we need to study about these lasers? Is it necessary for us? Yes, of course it is necessary, because in many applications in our day-to-day life, we can see the usage of lasers. May it be cleaning purposes, lasers are used for cleaning. May it be the welding industries, cutting, welding, drilling holes, engraving, all these purposes we use lasers. Coming on to communications or electronic purposes and medical purposes for surgeries, dental treatments, cancer treatments, also we use this lasers. So this is the reason why we have to study the concept of lasers. So by now we have understood who is the discovery behind laser, what is laser, how this laser works, and why do we need to study this laser. Let us see and visualize all these concepts whatever we have discussed till now in a video. So this lasers, whatever we have discussed till now, will be studied here, where we can see the concept of lasers was discovered by Einstein, and this laser is a device for producing narrow beam of highly intense monochromatic. Whatever 5 properties we have discussed, they are being visualized here. Then we have seen the properties: monochromaticity, coherent light, laser beams travel in same directions, then sharply focused. Yes, this is why I said it is having high intensity. Now you can see the laser full form. Just have a quick recap on what is L. Light amplification by stimulated emission of radiation. Then you can visualize these processes. Now whenever the atoms are going from low to high states and high to low states, the photons will be emitted. And here you can see 2 photons are being emitted from the laser, whereas in this case of stimulated emission, this is E1 ground state and it is having an energy of 1 joules. This is E2 excited state, higher energy, so 5 joules of energy. Now we can visualize one atom is there here. If I am supplying an energy equal to 4 joules, nothing but difference between higher and low, what will happen? If this atom will absorb this energy, and what will it do? It will undergo stimulated absorption. Thereby what will it do? It will go to higher energy state. Now after going to higher energy state, it will come back randomly after how much time? 10 power minus 8 seconds, which is nothing but spontaneous emission. We are not worried about these 2 processes. We want our important process as stimulated emission of laser, where the first video we have visualized 2 photons are emitted. That is important for us. Now here you can see, as I have said you, conditions for laser: a material should be existing and it should have one metastable state. Metastable state means it should have longer lifetime. Now coming on to active materials, as I have said you, it can be solid, liquid, gas or semiconductors. Now you can see for a 3-level laser system, what are the processes you can visualize. When we are supplying an amount of energy equals to the difference between 2 energy levels, absorption you can visualize. Afterwards, spontaneous emission. Now this E2 is metastable state, so it is having higher lifetime. So what will it do? It will stay there for some time, then it will absorb energy and will come to the ground state by emitting the laser. Here you can see population inversion. See, 2 photons are emitted over here, nothing but laser light is being emitted. So here the necessity of optical resonator is being shown, where we are having 2 mirrors enclosed with active medium. See, the laser beam is being emitted. Now we will see finally what are the applications of lasers. How do we use these lasers in different fields? Here you can see for finding out 3-dimensional image of an object, and also in the medical field for removing the kidney stones and all, that is for medical surgeries. And then you can see they are used in optical fiber communications to send longer distances informations, and you can see it's a potential energy source for generating nuclear fusion reactions and nuclear reactors. And finally, it can be used for cutting purposes also, as we have discussed. Cutting, welding, drilling purposes, all these purposes, these lasers are being extensively used. So, what all the applications which we have seen, we'll just have a quick revision over here. So you can visualize these. Out of these, I would like to say this is very much interesting, where staying on this planet Earth using this lunar range spectrometer, that is using laser, we are able to find out the distance from Earth to Moon. This is that device, lunar ranging spectrometer. And these are the other devices, like nothing but in medicine we are using lasers for surgeries, and these are for industries, engraving purposes, drilling and cutting. So this is all about the topic called Introduction to Lasers. And I hope all the concepts related to basics of lasers are very clear. I would like to thank you everyone for listening to this lecture.